Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mystic in the Machine. Yeah, it's been super fucking hot this weekend.
It has.
And we had a wonderful weekend. We went around the Camden canals and Tottenham marshes to pick blackberries because it's blackberry season currently, and it's one of the few kind of nature's pleasures that you can have in London. But we did eat Camden blackberries, and I didn't know how I feel about that.
Is that why you didn't eat the pudding?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Mate, they were absolutely incredible. They were delicious.
I mean, we did wash them, and
I washed them thoroughly.
And we did try to pick them from like high up points, but
the best berries.
London is also still like a pretty grimy, dog piss soaked city. So I was like, maybe not.
No, it was incredible. We made an amazing crumble.
We did.
With fresh blackberries that we picked ourselves. It was absolutely amazing.
We were Stone Age mindsetting it. Except I made Jake forage because I wasn't going to be going in any bushes. I just sort of helped him like spot the berries.
You spotted the berries, and then I used my superior vision and peepers to get in there and analyze the berries and see if they were worth getting or not.
We got a very good harvest though.
We got a very good harvest.
I'm proud of us. We got like we would have paid like 10 quid at M&S
easily
for. So yeah, free berries. Free berries. So much is going on this week.
It's been nice to just chill out and eat berries and not worry about
and enjoy the sun.
The world melting away and falling apart.
Exactly.
You definitely don't feel that when you just sort of like see like the odd pub down the canal and like nice fields everywhere and boats and the sunshine. It was super peaceful weekend, really lovely.
Definitely. Do you want to move into frame a little bit more? I didn't mean to take over the frame. The reason why we're so zoomed in right now.
You're always the superstar, so I give you the biggest space.
That's sweet of you. But yeah, the reason we're so zoomed in right now is because it's so hot. That's what the Mickey Mouse ear situation is. Like, I have so much hair that this is the only way I can really put it up. And I also didn't really want to wear much. So we had to like move the camera up because it's not fair that Jake is the only one that gets to
chill in the kimono.
Yeah, he's the only one that gets to free the nipple. And I don't think that's fair. So we had to tighten the shot today to make sure that we were YouTube friendly.
It's too hot. Like, yeah. I wish I could get my phone. I would like to see how hot it's been today. It must have been in the 30s.
Yeah, something like that.
It has been roasting.
For the first time all summer as well. So it's just like crazy. And yeah, on top of that, a bunch of crazy shit has been going on globally.
The world is just like the season 24 of the 21st century has been really crazy.
Yeah, and shit.
It has been really crazy
and terrible.
I think since COVID, it's been really crazy.
Yeah, it's just kind of gone downhill.
Or just like there's that famous Terence McKenna quote of just like things are really weird and they're only gonna get weirder, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think even that's probably even a slight re-quoting of Robert Anton Wilson and Alan Watts from back in the day as well. I feel like I've read that from 20 years before Terence McKenna as well.
Well, let's dig in, but let's start light with the break dancing at the Olympics. I'm pretty sure this is the first time that breakdancing has been a category in the Olympics.
It is.
Oh. Why exactly? I have no idea.
Just give me a second. It's one of those classic OBS things where it was like.
Is it, or is it that you just like?
No, dude. It was. It was working. It was working.
Was it?
Yeah. See, there we go.
There we go. Yay! All right. So here's here's a clip.
I don't think I have to mute it.
We have to mute it though because
they've put silly music on the top of it. I don't know what music she was actually dancing to for this, because every clip I've seen, it feels like the music choice is so ridiculous that it definitely isn't the music that she chose. But her dance is so ridiculous that it could well have been, Land Down Under or something like that.
Well, I mean, why did they have breakdancing in the first place is what I want to know. And the types of people who would be really into and excited about breakdancing in like 2024 are going to be like, cringe people like this. I
mean, I do love how confidently she
I like her confidence. Her confidence is like really admirable. But that's admirable about it. But let's dig into her backstory. It turns out that she's like a diversity hire.
Oh.
I don't know if she's kind of a diversity hire or something.
Well, I can't imagine that she would have actually won many competitions with those skills. And what's wild is that like there was like a whole Australian press junket like done on her months before the Olympics.
Yeah.
And she doesn't hide anything in that either.
No.
And she's just like, yeah, I'm a professor. And
she wrote a thesis on breakdancing and gender. So that should give you an idea of
it was something about like the gender breakdown in breakdancing or something like that.
Yeah, but the fact that she wrote a thesis on that.
Yeah.
That should give you the kind of rough estimation idea of the type of person.
You think that's a red flag behavior?
I definitely think it's red flag behavior for sure.
What did you write your thesis on?
I don't want to revisit that. That was like almost a decade ago. Now I'm an older, wiser, more mature being, and
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
want to
saying.
be held
I
to
think
that.
that's what I'm
She's still
saying.
posting cringe as like a grown woman. She's still posting cringe as a grown woman, so I don't think it's the same. And yeah, my thesis was on something really social justice. Now that I remember, shit, fuck. Why did you have to fucking remind me of that?
Because it was funny.
No, it's not. It's not fucking funny.
See, I think her actual history...
I wanted the moral high ground, and
they,
you just like snatched it from under me.
And they gave you an A, okay? And they gave
They did give me an A. Though.
So I think her real history is actually that this was her mum. Def Jam. I gotta mute that just in case. But so yeah, here we go. Look, this was her mum, and her mum used to make these kinds of like instructional videos for for you to learn how to breakdance at home, for you to learn how to hip hop at home.
Stop lying to our audience.
Okay,
it's not her mom.
and then the town went to the Blockbuster and they found these videos of Carol making these hip hop dances, and they ripped the shit out of her. They thought it was so bad, and they she was so embarrassed she had to leave wherever it was in like the middle of Utah or whatever, and she fled to Australia and had a baby, and that baby went on and did her so proud, and went on and took her dance moves all the way to the Olympics.
But now she's embarrassed herself, so she has to move deeper into Australia.
I think we can hear a little bit of this bit because there's less music.
Or your hands are always like this. Start out just hitting it.
Oh fuck!
But why wouldn't they have thought it would be cringe to have breakdancing at the Olympics? It's not like 1992.
I think they're trying to get the younger generation interested in the Olympics.
But I don't think young people care about breakdancing anymore.
That's why they've got skateboarding now. They introduced skateboarding, and there was
if they were trying to get young people in the 90s interested in the Olympics, perhaps that would have worked. But now it's kind of like
they've like done it. It was interesting because
they need to get TikTokers
for the Olympics. There was one of the like guys I remember following when I was 15, and he must have been like 11 or something. He was like I think he's from South America, and he's called like Niger Houston, or he might even just be American. He's absolutely fucking insane, and now he was finally in the Olympics, and he's like obviously in his like 28 or something like that. He's like a few years younger than me.
Oh wow!
And it was just like he came third, dude. He got the bronze.
Wow! And
this fucking Japanese kid beat him out for the gold, I think it was. But then you see all those Japanese game shows where they're basically doing Takeshi's Castle on skateboards, and you're like, okay, well this is why they're killing it. Isn't it? This all makes sense now.
Jay George says, "Yo, white people breakdancing is funny." I agree, and I don't know why they decided to have that be a thing at the Olympics. Maybe it was for social media. I think probably because they knew they would get memes and moments. And I feel like they gassed this woman up all the way to the Olympics just for the meme.
Maybe it was that she was from a particularly rural part of Australia where she actually did win all those competitions needed
I saw a video
to make it to the Olympics.
No, I saw a video of her in the breakdancing competition.
Yeah.
And she was really bad, and everyone was like cringing, but like it seemed like they gave it to her because she was a girl. And I feel like
you have to have amount of points winning a competition. The same with the skateboarding and same with all these other things. But even then,
Australians are mad because they're like, people are saying, oh, you shouldn't criticize her, blah, 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 blah. But like, there are probably a lot of other women who are better and deserved it more. But because she managed to kind of like DEI her way into the
But she's white though. So how did she DEI it?
Because it's like, I'm a woman in breakdancing, and I wrote a thesis on the gender dynamics of breakdancing, and she probably like guilted them.
Is it a lot? Is it a very male dominated thing?
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm sure breakdancing would be quite a male dominated thing.
I've only really noticed like, even I mean, maybe it was just because I went to a music school and it didn't have like dances in it. It was like more focused on the sound bit of it. But I've been past like loads of places in Europe and stuff where there's like all these kids that are doing dance, and they'd like do it at the front of the university.
Yeah.
Fucking 90% of them are chicks.
Yeah.
So like, I can't imagine that breakdancing
But I don't know, there are
somehow
lots of different other
like
forms of dancing that women do, but breakdancing probably isn't like high on the list of the types of dances that women do.
I don't know.
I don't think it's popular, and I haven't seen it
I think
around, so I think it's just like random.
I think she grifted herself first.
But I wonder if we're gonna see more of this. If we're gonna see more people sort of like DEIing their way into the Olympics, which is supposed to be about like objective athletic skill. And not like, you know, bullshit surrounding.
Well, that's tricky, isn't it? Especially around something like skateboarding, or even arguably to some extent like.
Or do you think they're going to start adding
gymnastics and stuff?
Well, do you think they're going to start adding more arts, quote unquote, sports that are subjective, so that more and more fucking people can like go and join the Olympics, and it can be more inclusive? And people can feel special.
Well, in the skateboarding for Great Britain, there was a 51-year-old guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that had been like, you know, around the skateboarding. I don't know if he's particularly famous. I certainly didn't know of his name, and when I was really into skateboarding or anything like that, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But you know, he had a really touching story where he is somewhat of a semi-professional skateboarder. He's like known Tony Hawk's for 30 years. And like he came to come and like cheer his mate on at the Olympics
and it's nice when things
like... And he made it as a 51-year-old man, beat all those competitions he needed to do to actually get to the Olympics. Yeah. That's fucking sick, just as a story.
I mean, but the whole thing is that's cute and stuff, and like it's nice when feel good, you know, underdog stories like that happen. But at the same time, people watch the Olympics because they're interested in seeing athletic excellence and like the best people doing the best stuff. And I feel the reason why they're bringing in shit like breakdancing is so that people like this can like wangle their way in.
People like this can wangle their way in.
Yeah, I think it's so people like this can kind of like wangle their way in. And I feel like wokeness and DEI and shit has like opened the door for this kind of bullshit.
Well, they think they've said they're gonna take it away now, haven't they?
Well, good.
I don't think it was based on this woman's only performance.
I think it probably was. It's not that they were bad breakdancers. I saw some clips of decent performances, but at the same time it's kind of like, why is this at the Olympics?
After we first saw that clip, you were like, I think breakdancing is just really cringe, it was never cool. And then like I clicked on the next video, and it was a bunch of like kind of older black guys killing it, like breakdancing.
I feel like they can get away with it. Older black guys can get away with it.
That doesn't look pretty cringe to me.
No.
It looks pretty
older
fucking
black
awesome.
Guys in and of its time, I think can get away with it. But I think that like now it's like weird and cringe, and like, what are you doing?
Maybe.
I think if you're doing it as a hobbyist, it's like cool, like whatever. I don't know. I just don't think it's that relevant.
She just brought her mum's dance moves to the Olympics, and I thought that was a really...
That's not actually her mom, by the way, before Jake gets us sued for defamation or something. I don't know.
What are you talking about? I've seen the birth certificate.
Have you?
I've seen the credits of the woman's life.
Oh my god. Okay, so moving on from the cringe breakdancing incident to American politics, which is impossible to ignore. It's so ubiquitous. I wish that we were back in boomer times when all the politics stuff happened on terrestrial television and the internet kind of was a little bit of a safe space from it. But now politicians have decided to become influencers. And I mean, this has kind of been the case for a while. I think the first person to really fully lean into this was AOC. I think AOC was like ground zero for the influencer politician kind of trend. But now it's sort of accelerated, especially in this election. I think this is like the first election when you're seeing presidents just sort of brazenly embracing internet culture. I mean, I remember last week we talked about the Meg Thee Stallion twerking.
Yeah.
And I was really like perplexed as to why that was happening. But the reason it happened is really because it like appeals to the internet. It appeals to the sort of like culture of the internet. It's memeable, it's clippable, and this is the kind of future we're entering. So yeah, this week Trump went on, what's the name of the guy?
Aiden Ross.
Aiden Ross. Who is this guy? Who explains to me who this is?
Like young whippersnapper who like really worshipped Andrew Tate for ages and tried to be like his disciple, basically.
So he like rode that
but
on
then
his coattails.
He kind of like left that, but he's kind of, you know, like the internet was sort of split between people that see it as like just pure degenerate internet that was sort of like, I guess is like the whole Theo sort of like right wing adjacent sort of like billionaire people. And so there's another streaming platform called Kick, which is funded by this guy who owns a gambling website that he uses to just basically pay people to advertise to gamble on his other website.
Wow.
And so yeah, he gambles on streams and stuff. Basically, that's like what he does.
Is that literally it?
Largely, yeah.
And has edgy opinions.
And like, yeah, and chat shit, and
God.
then has people like on his stream that are like famous on us, and like interviews them and shit.
And is he big? Is he like huge?
He's fucking huge, yeah. He's like one of the biggest streamers on the internet.
Wow.
Both of the people that we're going to talk about tonight are like probably the two of the biggest streamers on the internet. There's a couple other people of note around a similar kind of influence and size, but they are definitely like top of the pile.
So that's because I was wondering, why did Trump go on this show, and also why did it get like nearly 100 million views or something? I'm sure it's more than that now.
Yeah.
But it was like obviously, and that's the reason why presidents are now kind of migrating into e-space, and we have like influencers and chiefs now.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty power move by Trump, I think. Because obviously, like, they would probably ask for questions beforehand and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But Trump is probably pretty happy to answer whatever fucking question Aiden's going to ask him. Yeah. And so...
But I mean,
to some extent. I don't know if he really asked any kind of, like, nasty questions, but I think also he kind of doesn't want to. He wants to have a nice time with Trump. So that's kind of like the whole point.
But even then...
It's not like that sassy black lady from last week who didn't want to have a nice time with Trump at all and was like, straight away was like, you are a racist pig, sir, and I want you to fess up and tell everyone what a Nazi you are.
But even then, it extends beyond Trump, because America kind of doesn't really have a president right now. Joe Biden broke up with them via Twitter. He didn't even really announce it anywhere else, which is kind of unprecedented. I think it is unprecedented.
All of it was unprecedented.
It's fucking unprecedented.
And even that's what I think Trump has mentioned as well, that like even the way that they took Joe Biden's presidency away from him is like
cold.
It's unconstitutional, and it's sort of like it has never been done in like that ever and it's crazy. They just took it away from him, which is a bit crazy.
Social media is now the mechanism through which politics is filtered. Legacy media is kind of complete. Like, this is the election that shows that legacy media is kind of so irrelevant.
Let's show this black lady from last week the kind of fun that she could have had with Trump if she just played ball. Right? Okay.
Check out this rapper. Let me know your honest thoughts.
I think it's
Yeah, I'll get on the other side.
Should I show that to the audience?
Yeah, they can see it.
Oh, I didn't know this. Now I know it's where.
Let me check.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. Okay. We're back.
So they got to do the dance. They got to have all these little nice viral moments.
He had his little brat summer moment, viral moment. He danced. He got given a Cybertruck and a very expensive watch. He also, was like cracking jokes did you watch some of the interview? I watched some of it.
Well, it was just like a pretty friendly, bantery time.
Not much policy was discussed, which is like the major
but there was
feature.
There was some
and
questions.
That's the thing that's insidious about this whole influencer thing, because being an influencer online is about, well, being a politician is about selling things, blah blah. But it's not supposed to be nakedly so, whereas being an influencer online is like nakedly about that. And I feel like that's what's insidious about this kind of thing, is it's about charming you and entertaining you and creating viral moments rather than like, discussing policy, talking about things that people give a shit about. And I feel like this is just going to get worse and worse, and it's just going to accelerate more and more. This is like the new way media.
I don't know. I don't know if it would. I don't think a stream with Kamala Harris would be as entertaining.
No, well, I mean, she's like a drunk wine mom. It's entertaining in a different way, I think. It's entertaining in a kind of different way. But yeah, moving on from Trump, Kamala Harris has also reached out. Apparently, I don't know how fucking true this is. He could just be clout chasing, but one of the internet's most famous streamers, is this the one that Kim Kardashian invited to her daughter's
yeah, I think
party?
So.
What's his name?
Kai Cenat.
Yeah, so he claims that Kamala Harris's campaign reached out to him. Do you want to play the?
I got the fucking Secret Service calling me 5 times, nigga. I don't know goddamn shit about politics, man. I don't know.
I really would.
I don't know shit. I don't know not a goddamn thing, my nigga.
Poor guy.
That is fucking. What a hilarious way to fucking react to that sort of thing. To be honest, it kind of sucks them blowing up his phone, and that would make me prang the fuck out, to be honest.
Yeah, if fucking Secret Service was calling.
Wouldn't they have had to have called Aiden Ross?
Who's Aiden Ross?
Trump, the guy that interviewed Trump, the other one. The video that we just watched.
I'm not sure how much the Secret Service's duties extend to somebody who's not currently in the White House.
Oh, was that their excuse?
Maybe.
Was that their excuse for all of the nonsense?
For all the stuff going on.
Was it?
I don't know. I have no idea how it works. But they be reaching out to influencers. I mean, AOC, like I said, she started the fucking playbook. She was the one that started fucking palling around with bread tube streamers. I remember she went on Hassan, and I think, or one of those people, and she is kind of been the influencer in chief for the majority of her career, and all of her histrionics and antics and all of the stupid shit that she does for social media, like her stupid Eat the Rich dress. I feel like, Trump also kind of does to an extent, but he's still very much thinking about, he's good at Twitter, but he still thinks about things in terms of legacy media.
Do you think it was just
I think
Kamala's turn and they should have gone with AOC to really throw the gauntlet down?
No, I don't think AOC would stand a chance against Trump. I really don't.
No?
Yeah. I think more of America finds her irritating than...
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that all the Democrats loved AOC.
The Democrats do, but I think the majority of America would find her deeply unlikable.
Deeply upsetting.
Yeah. And at least Kamala is like a neocon in a pantsuit. It's like familiar territory.
She's just like Black Hillary.
Yeah, pretty much. Beige Hillary. Off caramel Hillary. But it's bizarre to me and surreal, and it's like deeper into the hyper reality we fall.
I've got to use that in my jungle set. That is such a fucking sample.
Don't do that. Oh no.
Look, it's not me saying the N-word, it's my sample part.
So that makes it fine. That makes it totally fine.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's the hack.
Oh my god. Jay George says there's no way to take partisan politics seriously in 2024 without being an utter idiot. I agree. I really do. But so many people love this and they live for this, and it's like what they wake up every morning for, and they thrive on it. And in terms of like influencer culture and the sort of toxicity that surrounds that, expect to see more of that in politics. And this isn't the only example we have. We have another example of an influencer, influencer mayor.
I couldn't really find the clip that was good for that, unfortunately.
It's okay. We'll just find the news article. I think I pulled it up. No, it's not in the Discord.
No, you didn't pull it up.
What was her name? Or just tell the story.
Yeah.
Just tell the story.
There's this mayor of this place in Illinois called in Dalton, Illinois, who's basically just been using social media to like build herself up as like this massive like a profile basically, and put herself very like publicly facing as like on all these flyers and all these billboards and all this stuff, and she's been using like all of the taxpayers' money basically to go on like massive trips and like pull a BLM almost, but not quite as bad where she's like buying crazy property and stuff.
But she is going and staying at the Four Seasons on the taxpayers' dollar. She's like eating all these lavish meals. She's flossing on social media. She's on a decent salary, but at the same time, not enough to be living the kind of lifestyle that she's living.
It's just greed, man. It's like she's already getting paid like $250,000.
Yeah, what's her name?
Tiffany something.
Look it up.
Hendrew or something like that.
Because look it up. But what was I saying? Yeah, that she basically was confronted this week in the town hall, and people were sort of exposing her for her antics and her lifestyle. And we'll show you a video in a second. She really has the affect of somebody who should be a cast member on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. She should not be the mayor of a city. but lo and behold, she is. And she's robbing the city blind. And it sounds like a story that should be happening, I don't know, in some backwater town in Eastern Europe, not in
from a
America. But yeah, here we'll show you the clip of the news story. This is
I forget I am the leader. They want to hear from the mayor. If y'all ain't learned that yet, the mayor, not the trustees that don't do nothing, that only run their mouth. Y'all don't do no work.
Tiffany Henyard considers herself something of a crusader, but one who's clearly annoyed by questions from a rebellious group of Dalton trustees who are in a standoff with her over spending.
At the end of the day, vendors are not...
It's like this was the story like 6 months ago, basically, where all these people were raising concerns about all of these crazy charges that were coming in on credit cards and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And she just started, that's how she reacted to
and
everybody.
She also pulled the race card, so it was kind of like a BLM. She was saying that it was them trying to attack a black woman.
But that's crazy, because am I like blind here? But like,
everyone
here, everyone in the room that you're talking to right now.
But like I said,
black.
She's charismatic or whatever. She should be a reality TV contestant. She should not be the mayor of a fucking town in America.
You do that? Can you pull the race card on the black people?
Yeah, but you can pull the race. I've had the race card pulled on me by other black people many times.
How? Explain to us, enlighten me. How does that work?
Like you're an Uncle Tom or XYZ. There are many ways.
But that's not what she's saying. She's not categorizing.
Well, she's saying, a black.
She's
black
making
woman.
quite a general like you're attacking black women.
Yeah.
When there is half of them are black women.
It doesn't have to make sense. I don't see the point in trying to understand the logic. But yeah, she should be on reality TV. She should not be the mayor of a town in America.
Yeah.
Again, what part of the reason she spent the town's money in such an obscene fashion is
kind of
because
like
she was trying to floss for the gram. She was trying to floss on social media.
It's a nice little low stakes bit of drama to follow. Right, it's not like,
I mean, it's high stakes for the people in the town. Jeez.
Kind of, but it's all stuff that like, it's all kind of about an amount of money that you'll still kind of be able to get it back.
Yeah.
It's not like some of the cities in the UK
where
they're like billions in debt or somehow. And so they can't, like, they got to get their bins collected once a month now instead of once a week or something.
Well, who knows? It could really be affecting the town in a lot of ways. That money could have been used to solve all kinds of problems.
And that was also she's also just running shit like an absolute gangster as well. It wasn't even all of this. She was also just like on the run up to her like re-election that has been like the coming months and whatever.
Yeah.
She has just literally been going around to businesses and asking them for donations. And then if they don't pay her a fucking donation, she doesn't renew. Yeah, she doesn't renew whatever city bullshit that they're applying for or the license that they're like need or something like that. And then
that is
so she's just straight up like doing some Tony Soprano level shit. which is pretty hilarious.
That is pretty fucking brazen. That is pretty insane. I don't know though. I'm pretty dumbfounded that Americans are allowing this to happen, but at the same time, I kind of get it because they're so glad that I feel like they're so hypnotized by opulence there and the appearance of wealth, and they associate wealth and status with like competence.
I think they like literally, and it's not even just Americans. I think that like
but I think
there are some people that like it just snaps in their head and they're like, oh, this shit's a game. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna play some fucking stupid game of my own. Like, fuck this. And then that's how you kind of end up in Tiffany's situation, where you just like
society full of psychopaths and sociopaths trying to get ahead, which is really dangerous.
Oh yeah, there was one other bit of drama with this Tiffany lady.
Oh no.
That she had like started a charity like for breast cancer or something.
Oh no.
And then sent a load of like donations from the credit cards of like, you know, the town of Dalton and stuff, so like the taxpayers' money. And then she'd also like when people are asking her after she'd done all these fundraising events, which she'd paid for on again the like town's credit cards and stuff.
Yeah.
So like done all these events and stuff to raise money. That money is in this charity, which then when this journalist is there asking us like, so are you gonna like give us a breakdown of how you're spending the money that you're earning at the charity? Like this guy that runs the charity just like starts laughing, like literally laughing in his face.
Wow.
Like, I don't know that shit, man.
Wow.
Like walks off. You're just like, oh my god. So you're not only
God.
doing all these other bad things, you're like literally running a charity and like grifting a bunch of people.
Oh my gosh.
So she's like some kind of like
it's ratchetness across the board. You got ratchetness on the right. You got ratchetness on the left. You've just
where's Batman where you need him?
Yeah, man.
It feels like she's gone full like Joker. You know what I mean?
Well, it seems like that's what everyone is doing now. It's like an every man for himself kind of war of all against all, and yeah, people just want to floss on social media. That's like the highest aspiration, which is really sad. But yeah. Moving on to the UK stuff, I've badmouthed American politics enough. Moving on to our dirty laundry / closet. You know, I don't know what to believe anymore with this whole situation. It's fucking insane. I remember last week, the Camden Council sent an alert. We live in Camden. And it's like, you know, they were like, oh my God, if you're a minority in Camden and you feel unsafe, here are some resources and all of this like really hysterical shit. And it's like, I live in Camden. There's like crackheads on the street. I don't feel safe when I walk around certain parts of Camden at night. There's so many homeless people everywhere. There's people doing drugs. There's people taking shits. Like, they've never, Camden Council.
We saw a guy nearly die the other week.
Yeah, we saw a guy nearly die in the fucking canal.
We did literally nearly see a guy die.
He was in the canal and he was so drunk that he like nearly drowned and someone had to like jump in after him.
Yeah.
It was the most surreal thing ever. But yeah, Camden is like pretty insane. And not once has the Camden Council ever been like, oh my God, if you feel unsafe, anything. But now they're talking about this riot situation in XYZ, and now's the time where they're alerting people. Even though it's been fairly fucking peaceful. Nothing has happened.
There's no protests in Camden.
There hasn't been much going on in London in general. And that this week there was so much hype of, the BNP is coming to London and all of this shit. And it's like, even if they do, I'm not fucking scared of the fucking BNP.
There was like
or the English Defence League or whatever fucking. Are we in 2002? What is going on?
There's some sort of like faked leaked message, and so a bunch of people ended up coming out anti-protesting a protest that was never there. And there's the sort of like then like big congratulatory God. Sort of like pat on the back for all the people
falling
that
for
came
the psyop.
No, for all the people that came out to anti-protest the protest that wasn't in their part of the country.
But so much of it is people's emotions being stirred up, misinformation on both ends of the spectrum flying. You know, it's ironic that our government is calling people thugs and, you know, far right when that's exactly what they are. It's just crazy, and it's been it's been the case where people have been anticipating all this stuff that hasn't happened. The places where it has happened, there hasn't been as much attention on that. There hasn't been as much attention on mending the damage, or it's all been on, ramping up the tension. It's going to happen here. It's going to happen again. And then on top of that, you know, it's gotten to such an absurd scale that Keir Starmer is now threatening Elon Musk with fucking prison. How he's going to accomplish that, I don't know, for fucking tweets. And not only that, the UK is saying that they want to prosecute people for things said on social media,
which they did.
Yeah, which they did.
And
like I said, it reminds me of the thing I was saying about Camden Council. There's so many problems in Camden, yet this is the one time they speak out about XYZ. There are so many problems in England, and on top of that, our jails are so full that they recently just released a bunch of criminals out into the country, but yet they have enough space to arrest people for tweets.
I don't know, it's sort of the thing where there are probably some like non-violent crime people in there that you could probably arguably release where it wouldn't be like a big deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like if it's people dealing drugs, for instance, that's not great for communities.
No, of course, but like
there's all sorts of if we have that sort of problem,
maybe they just did like a little bit of fraud.
Well, yeah,
or
you know, but that's not the truth. That's not true. Those aren't the only people that they're releasing, and the other thing is none of the actual issues are being dealt with. They're like arresting people for tweets and this and that, and it's like ridiculous. It's also a violation. Well, it's not really a violation of free speech in terms of law, because we don't have laws that protect free speech in the same way that Americans do. It's a violation of free speech in principle, though.
I don't know why they couldn't just claim that their account was hacked.
Is that what you would do?
Like the police came and they were like, did you try and incite a riot on Facebook on like, you know, Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
I'd just be like, no, mate, my account was hacked.
They're not dealing with...
I'm still locked out of it. So.
They're not dealing with any of the problems. Like, they part of the reason that people are mad is because of the idea of the two-tier justice system. The idea that certain things that have occurred in minority communities have been swept under the rug. XYZ, that there's a two-tier justice system, and look at what they're doing. They're ignoring.
Well, it's not even just swept under the rug, because I think what people are like directly talking about when they talk about things like that is like this sort of like underground rumor / culture / how much of it is real and not real. It's sort of also like people don't really know, right?
Yeah,
like this sort of like grooming gangs thing that is like a right-wing talking point.
Well, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's not just a talking point. Like and that's part of the anger.
That stuff would be on the BBC.
It is. You can research it yourself. It's not a topic you're clearly not that well versed on. Sorry, it's not a topic you're clearly that well versed on. But it's a real thing, and that's part of the frustration. And the thing is, instead of them to deal with people's fears, anxieties, frustrations, they label them across the board as bad actors. And then on top of that, ramp up surveillance and violations of rights. And that's kind of what I feel like this is being stoked for. And the reason why, you know, a lot of fear and anxiety is sort of being pushed is because they're trying to use this incident as an excuse, not only to further strip our civil liberties, which have been sort of eroding for a very long time in this country, but also to strip our right to protest, to all of those things. That's another thing that's been eroding very, very consistently. The pro-Palestine protests was another, thing. The 2011 riots. And the thing that annoys me the most is that the leftists and the liberals in this country are the ones cheering on the arrests, cheering on people's social media being surveilled, despite the fact that this will eventually be turned against them. When Keir Starmer talks, he talks about a lot of the apparatus of the 2011 riots being reinstated now to punish these people. And the 2011 riots happened for a very different reason. It wasn't due to any sort of racial, cultural grievance. It was the underclass.
Well, kind of. There was still like a police violence.
There was a police violence case, sure. Yeah. But it wasn't like a racial clash. It was a racial kind of like anger from like, you know, the underclass, quote unquote. But it wasn't like,
it was,
you know,
that guy got shot and he was like half. He was like mixed, or he was black,
yeah. But I'm saying it was an eruption of anger from that community. It wasn't like two different groups or identities pitted against each other in like, you know.
No, it was against the state. It was like not a group of people.
Which is the reason why I'm saying it's a very different situation. Yeah, Keir Starmer is,
and that timed with the student
protest
at the same time.
Yeah.
So it all kind of got heated against the government for different reasons together, so it sort of became this bigger protest basically.
But the thing is, Keir Starmer is now kind of evoking the 2011 riots and the apparatus that was used to, you know, quell and punish that insurrection to, you know, deal with this. And one of the things that was used in 2011 was surveillance, and not just that, public shaming of people. I remember I think it was on Panorama or something. Mm-hmm. They were releasing CCTV footage and faces of people who participated in the riots. The media created this witch hunt-like environment during that time. And it was sort of a precursor to what's going on now. And liberals and leftists are cheering it on because now the state has the moral cover of stopping the racists to accelerate this. Mm-hmm. January 6th was another similar incident. This is kind of like our January 6th. What's going on now is our January 6th. And after January 6th, what happened? You saw the powers of the state increase. You saw the January 6th committee violating the Constitution. You saw all sorts of crazy shit going on. Them putting pressure on third-party private companies to release private metadata, all sorts of serious violations happening. And it was just sort of an excuse for them to accelerate, you know, surveillance, control, and strip away people's civil liberties. And I feel like that's what's happening now. And during January 6th, the libs were cheering that whole apparatus on as it was happening because it was happening to their enemies. Mm-hmm. It was happening to the people who they perceived as their the other side. They're caught in the fucking dialectic, so they're not thinking properly. And the same thing is now happening here in Britain, where we have one of the largest surveillance states in the world. And on top of that, we don't have a constitution to protect us. We don't have any of the fucking things that Americans have. But you have these fucking left liberal people who are so stupid, they don't think. They spend all day scrolling on Twitter. They spend all day scrolling through TikTok. They allow their emotions to be heightened and manipulated by all these different interests. They're just as caught in the dialectic. And yeah, I fear that now they have an excuse. They have the excuse they've been looking for to ramp things up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they'd use any excuse.
Yeah. But having anti-racism as a moral cover is a very powerful excuse.
Mm-hmm. I think like...
and they're handing it directly to them.
I know it's that thing as well where neither side of the aisle is sort of clean in it at all.
Yeah.
Because even like the way that Nigel Farage and like the right-wing side of British politics is sort of framed it is that there's something we don't know about, like, you know, the stuff that's happened. And it's like, yeah, there is lots of stuff we don't know, but it's also being like actively investigated. Yeah. So you can't like know, like publicly talk about it without putting other people's lives in danger and stuff like that.
I'm not saying that there haven't been people who have been irresponsible, but there are ways that you can deal with that without setting terrible precedents.
Absolutely.
And that's what seems to be occurring all the time.
Absolutely. But I feel like it's still not getting lashed. I don't know. Maybe it's not getting lashed out on the government and power at all. Yeah. It is very like focused at, you know, specific places where people that they think is the problem would be.
Yeah.
And that is like really stupid. Mm-hmm, and it it should be focused at power instead, that is making those decisions instead of, if you've got grievances with those decisions, that's where it should be. You should be marching into London and, you know, as I said, I think in the last episode, Peasants Revolt, man, and like have a good, well, like thought out list of like the way you would want this problem approached.
You have pernicious characters who are spreading information, getting people riled up against people. They then go and commit horrible acts like attacking hotels. You know, they're caught in their end of the dialectic. And then you have people on the left who will totally ignore, you know, the overreach of the security state and of our civil liberties, so long as they can, like, you know, get one over on the chuds. It's a shit show. And this dialectic has made people crazy and stupid. And it's really frustrating to have to, like, watch and live through. And I think we are being riled up and frightened on purpose, for sure. Like, the whole Camden thing pissed me off. The fact that they were sending all these alerts, like, oh, if you're a minority, and I'm a fucking minority, I don't think you care about the fact that I have to step over a crackhead every day as I'm on my way to the tube station.
Or poop.
Yeah, I don't really like that. I think that fucking is bad. Why don't you send me fucking alerts about that? And I wonder if I even followed through with their shitty process, and I was like, I do actually feel really unsafe, like what they would do.
I feel like it's just probably another way of harvesting your data.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean?
It's so evil. It's so evil and so fucked up and so stupid.
There are some people that do see the bullshit, and
I haven't met many. I have not met many that see through the bullshit. Most people I see are firmly inculcated in some form or fashion in the bullshit.
But at the Bitcoin conference that happened a few weeks ago, Edward Snowden did see through the bullshit a little bit, at least. I
was impressed. I remember I talked shit about him on our show like a few months ago, and you scolded me.
Yeah, I was like, he's a real G, man. You gotta like listen to Edward.
I'm suspicious of everybody, but you know, he did a good speech.
He did.
I'll hand that to him. He did a good speech, which we're gonna show you right now, because it ties into what's been going on in the UK and in the US. Yeah, sorry, 2 seconds. Just trying to get rid of ads.
Oh my god, it's because the fucking thing crashed and it reloaded all of my shit.
Sorry, we have ads. Stupid ads. There we go. Okay. Here's the Snowden on the big screen. Turn the volume up.
But through generations, that is fundamentally unfair. What do I mean by that? Look at the economy, right? There's an increasing concentration of resources into fewer and fewer hands. So it is now even with the human voice. Winner take all is the model that's apparent on platforms as far as the eye can see. Whether you're talking about broadcast media, whether you're talking about legacy media, whether you're talking about newspapers, whether you're talking about social media, minority opinions are increasingly made to survive at the indulgence of the censor. You know, they're clinging to the edge of the platform by their fingernails. You see truckers in Canada that are getting debanked, and you see students at Columbia are getting de-hired for the things that they express. Now, we don't have to agree with them. We shouldn't necessarily agree with them, but they should have the ability to argue. They should have the ability to persuade. They should have the ability to dissent. They should have the ability, frankly, to disrupt. That's the thing that makes us progress, right, is the disagreement. If we accept that the system that we inherited is the best that it can possibly be, it shouldn't change, it shouldn't be contested, what we're saying is that we've gone far enough. This point in history is the best, and it's not. We know it's not. Life is still difficult despite the many privileges, despite the many technologies that have blessed us. But somebody made those things happen. Every good thing that you enjoy is the product of someone's labor, the product of someone's effort, the product of someone's ingenuity, the hours of their lives being gifted to us, to the common species. And the system that has been built around us is designed to extract as much of that as possible and return that to the hands of those princes. You'll notice none of the things that I mentioned are, deeply technical in nature. It's all very broad and general audience. But the thing that I want to warn you about tonight is that I fear that that is about to change. our lives have been increasingly intermediated by screens, by panes of glass, right? You are watching this either live on stage because you registered through a smartphone, through a laptop, right? Nobody went and sort of bought a ticket at the counter anymore. That's not how the world works these days. But in order to even set that computer up, to turn it on, to log in, to set up your account, to pull the smartphone out of the box, charge it, open it up, connect it to your Wi-Fi access point, you have to click OK to continue. You have to agree to somebody else's terms of service. You are made to pass through gates of permission that are owned and controlled by others, that do not answer, frankly, to anybody. You see Facebook, you see Google, you see how they've been abusing the trust of everyone in every country, right? You see the EU tries to get a handle on them. They're completely ignored. There was the GDPR, right, General Data Protection Regime, or regulation that was supposed to fix all of these problems. And it didn't work. They say, oh, we'll fine you, 4% of global revenue or whatever if you break the rules. That hasn't happened. And it's been years and years and years. Whether we're talking about governments, whether we're talking about corporations, we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he sort of goes into, the way that the surveillance apparatus is kind of accelerating.
Yeah, well, even like what the point he just made with the whole Bitcoin conference is like, as much as like he sees essentially Bitcoin as a symbol and a method essentially of trying to regain autonomy in a world where
transactions are monitored.
Well, not just that, but like everything in life is on the terms and conditions of something else, of someone else. Like no matter, kind of the what technology you're using, it's still through a server and through another person's service that's on such a scale that you would need to agree to terms and conditions. And so Bitcoin is kind of like a rebellious way or try to like regain some amount of autonomy financially.
Yeah. The whole speech, which we'll leave in the description for you guys to watch if you're interested, he sort of just is talking about ways of like escaping the ever encroaching sort of digital colonization of life. And obviously there are people who are hopeful about Bitcoin potentially being one of those escape routes. He talks about taking a more kind of cyberpunk approach to technology, and the fact that, a lot of these technology companies don't want us to do that. Like for AI is an example, a lot of things not being open source, people not being able to create and generate their own systems. They kind of want to pen us into their little feudal chicken pen. So that was one aspect he talked about. And then the other aspect he talked about is like the surveillance state and how...
Well, all those things that he just said about like having to, all of those like, just to get your ticket to the Bitcoin place or whatever, the terms and services of someone else are at the whims of whatever they want it to be. And so if now the terms and services are, in 2024, the public kind of proved that they want to use social media to incite violence and like cause riots and stuff. So now part of the terms and services of you using the internet as a British citizen is that you sign in through this portal essentially. And that like is with your ID that's linked to, your national, number of some kind, passport number or national insurance number. And so that all the data from the moment you've logged in through there is identifiable with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's now just part of the terms and services of using the internet. And then within like 5 years, you won't even remember that you didn't have to do that before. And it's just like another thing.
It's just like a slow incursion. I mean, even look at what's been going on all these different softwares that are integrating AI into their platforms, like Photoshop, for instance, and its use of people's work to train AI without their permission. There are all sorts of things that could be snuck into terms of services that they are hoping that you'll like overlook. And not just that, this thing is encroaching in such a major way. And he goes into that. I mean, it's apocalyptic, it's terrifying. And he gives a very ominous warning at the end about the fact that now is the short window we kind of have to stave some of this shit off. And I feel like that is the true actual political fight. That's the only political fight that is not fake and gay right now, in my opinion. There are real things legislatively, legally. There are a lot of things that can be done to kind of slow the incursion of this, but it seems as if there are people who are accelerationists on both sides of the political aisle, either wittingly or unwittingly. For instance, the people in the UK right now who are overlooking Keir Starmer's clear abuses of power because they're mad about the right-wing nutcases, they are unwittingly accelerating the surveillance state. They're unwittingly supporting the fucking thing that we should all be fighting against. Vice versa on the right with their weird fucking Peter Thiel goblin bullshit or whatever, you know? And that's what people should be concerned about right now, is how, number one, we can create systems parallel to the current one and how we can stop our rights from being completely eroded. And I feel like the reason why these events are being orchestrated and why, you know, there's a lot of, even though there clearly is stuff happening and there is, you know, tension and criminality and bad stuff happening, I feel like the flames are being stoked in order to kind of create moral justification to further, you know, imprison us.
Or just to like bring in the space within that system they've already built. That he's talking about. In that clip. Which is the internet, which is this thing which was confined to a box in a room in your house, which is now so pervasive that you would struggle to get a job or further education or any kind of meaningful next step in a mortgage, probably. All sorts of things.
Without
you would need
being
access to
plugged
the
in.
internet and email and all of this stuff on a fairly like assumed like a text level immediacy.
It's very Mark of the Beast-esque in a big way.
So and it's already like that now, and now all they need to do is kind of like tighten the bolts to sort of actually get really dystopian. And there was even like another stabbing today in London that like people were rightly like upset and disgusted about, and it'll be another thing used until like answers about it are kind of answered and stuff, and it'll be another thing used to stoke more craziness and bullshit.
And a lot of the people on the right as well who are stoking this shit are doing it because they are in favor of this accelerationist agenda. They just want to be able to weaponize it for their team. So just remember that.
It is a really like weird, I don't know. It is a weird old time.
Very weird.
Like
very weird.
The very way that we even like
pray for peace.
Use the internet could be the next thing to kind of go, because it's the easiest thing for them to do in lots of ways. I think there's probably ways, and there always will be with most technical things, to get around it. But most people, as kind of shown with the streaming services and everything else, they'll just subscribe to another channel, or they'll just like pay the bigger fee. They won't like unsubscribe and just start pirating again like we all used to. Like you know, they'll just pay the money because it's more convenient to do that. It's way more convenient to do that. And it'll be the same thing with the way that they try to set up with your ID linked to your internet activity and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, people will, if it was the mark of the beast, people would willingly take it. I remember early, like Twitter of 2020, having a blue check mark was like a mark of dishonor. It showed that you were like a brown noser, a media shill. You were somebody who was willing to kind of give your information over to big tech just so that you could feel a sense of prestige or superiority from others. And among sort of dissident journalists and shit posters and whatever, having a blue check mark was seen as like, you know, persona non grata. But then as soon as Elon Musk made it a purchasable feature, everybody jumped on board, including those who were skeptical about the amount of information you would have to hand over in order to receive one. You know?
That's what I'm saying.
The mark of the beast would be willingly taken by a lot of fucking people.
It's a culture of conformity that is the sort of like main thing.
Yeah.
So
and it's pushing out, like Edward Snowden says at the beginning, it's pushing out dissident voices. It's crushing true dissent. The only kind of dissent that's allowed is stupid, dumb social justice warrior dissent or dumbass right-wing dissent. Any true, real dissent is squelched, quashed, pushed out of the algorithm, ignored, XYZ, and only things that stoke this acceleration are pushed.
Like if you, I don't know, I feel like there would either needs to be some sort of like mass financial protest or just like a bit more serious than what it currently is, with a lot more like actual kind of goals.
I mean, like you said last week, literally like you said last week, the friggin' peasants' revolt was more articulate than what's happening now, and those people were like illiterate, like turnip farmers or whatever.
But they had some of them amongst them that could string together a sentence or two.
They did.
And figure it out.
They did.
And figure out what would actually make their lives better. And what is the thing that is the pain points of them. And they didn't go there demanding the head of the king and for everyone to be granted land and dismantled the entire fucking system.
Yeah.
They're just like, don't take the piss and do these reasonable things.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think they still had to fight quite heavily for
people don't care about that. It's all libidinal
right?
now. It's all libidinal now, and nobody gives a shit about that. It's all about the how to throw shade at the other side and how to win points for your team.
The way
even if it means accelerating the world's most dystopian surveillance and control apparatus and ignoring its construction and doing nothing to fight it because you're like caught in some stupid dialectic.
The other way that they will kind of do that is like, oh no, well, you didn't have to fight for the 4-day work week, but we will take all of your data to the point where you think you're being tracked now. Well, bend over, buddy, because I've got a glove and some more stuff I want to take out of you. Okay.
Oh my God, no.
I feel like that is where, but it's also kind of, I don't know, there's sort of people where he is sort of concerned with like, oh, they'll build a picture of you from your transactions because they're gonna implement this digital currency soon, and this other kind of paranoia with the internet and the way it's gonna kind of further evolve. It's sort of like, I think they could already do that. I think that they could, if they wanted to, ask your bank for your information, and that they would already have that.
Well, they can, because they did with January 6th. They did it. They already did that. The January 6th committee extrajudicially did all kinds of shady shit like that.
Is it just so it skips the middleman and they don't have to go to Wells Fargo and they don't have to go to NatWest, but they can just like fucking go, oh, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, that's the whole...
Let's have a look at what you've been up to.
The Agent Smiths have been released, and that's the thing, is everybody's a fucking Agent Smith now. Everyone wants the Agent Smiths to come on. Everyone wants the mark of the beast. I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy.
Well,
it's pretty
like,
insane.
Is humanity the virus, or is the internet the virus? This is the interesting one, right? Like, I don't know, if you were Agent Smith and you were giving him, you were sniffing Morpheus. Oh, makes me sick. The stench. The stench. No. Is it the stench of humanity? Or the stench of the internet?
Stench of the internet.
Do we think the internet is just this thing which is too powerful?
I think the internet is exacerbating and the people who are sort of behind the creation of certain incentive structures that dominate on the internet is exacerbating the worst aspects of human nature.
Or do you feel like we're just starting like our own little Amish new age thing where we're like, nope, the internet was correct in 2005. No more past there, because otherwise it just has too much of a pernicious effect on humanity.
You can play Neopets,
you know,
and
you've got Club Penguin, you've got like, you know, WoW, you've got a lot of like great things, but it does go no further than this. It goes no further than 2005.
No,
because you don't want to see what's on that other end.
No,
because that's the
what you see is people becoming fucking foot soldiers for the elite.
That's the live stream towards becoming a grey alien, okay, dude? Like that is like the direction in which it happens, is the internet like overtakes, and then we become like these weird like creatures, because that's the way we consume so much content. Our eyes just like become like this on our face, so we can like either watch more screens at once or like just you know what I mean. It's gonna get crazy. So I feel
But
like it'll be like some kind of Amish movement, a neo-Amish movement.
That's what's needed for the future, for sure.
Like,
and we're gonna be the mother and father of it. Like
to this point and no further.
Neopets.
Okay?
Club Penguin.
Not all the way back there, like those crazy people, but we've got it right now. At this point,
at this point,
we promise us. Okay,
a future era cult.
It is the future era was a very special time.
It was, and I think we should go back to it for sure.
It was like all the glowiness was happening, but no one really noticed, or like actually kind of understood quite how bad it was.
Yeah, it wasn't as dystopian yet.
It was sort of like everyone was sort of quite...
Everyone had a Nokia. Things were a little quieter.
You would actually ring someone's landline phone to see if they were around, because like, I don't know, it was just like it was a flip of the coin if you'd do that on your mobile or on the landline.
Very true. Very true.
And if you were a rich, fancy bastard, you had one of those landlines that was like a mobile phone in your house that you could take around everywhere.
But even then, what's happening currently that I'm noticing as well, not just with the sort of cybernetic incursion, it's also kind of with the whole political stuff bleeding out into the streets and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's sort of transforming into, like I said, a foot soldier for the elite.
Well, when you
have these two intra-elite squabbles represented by the sorts of elites on the left and right, and they're using social media as a tool to radicalize people to be their foot soldiers.
There you go. Jay George will join our Frusciero Amish village.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
And he said that sometimes I just want to move to a farm in the middle of Italy. Maybe that's like a good place.
Maybe that's a good start to start
do the Frusciero Amish. What are they called?
Let's look for land. You guys need to support our podcast more financially so that we can buy land and
instead of the Mennonites, we'll be the Frenonites.
Yeah, what? Frenonites.
Because we're all friends here.
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is why you should donate to our Patreon.
So we can start
to the Frenonite tier. We should make the Frenonite tier. But yeah, that's what's happening is people are being transformed into foot soldiers for the elite, and they're doing it willingly. They're being psyoped. The cybernetic psychological warfare is happening on everybody at the same time. So even though I'm like mad at people, I'm also, you can't be too harsh or like judgmental, because like literal like psychological warfare is being waged against people constantly.
They're starting to introduce disinformation news spotting as a school curriculum.
Oh, I know. Yeah, they had disinformation. Remember the disinformation Disney lady from COVID times?
Well, they're bringing it in the UK now.
Oh my God,
because of all of these things.
Oh, this is what I'm saying. It's January 6th, because after January 6th was when that disinformation Disney lady came out. So this is our January 6th. Like, it's literally...
She was frightening. If she had any administration...
Imagine her Mary Poppins English counterpart. It's going to be fucking terrifying.
Oh, my God.
It's going to be absolutely terrifying. It's going to
be... I'll take your data and twiddle with glee. Like...
Are you volunteering right now? Is that what's happening?
I'll be like the big data Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Disinformation Mary Poppins.
You have to.
Doesn't disinformation Mary Poppins need a disinformation Dick Van Dyke? Because then I feel like that should be me and you. You should be, look, especially with that haircut, like you should be fucking
like a
disinformation
a ninja
Daisy
of some sort. And you can be Dick Van Dyke.
Instead of Mary Poppins, you're like, you know.
I feel like it's giving the Street Fighter character. What's her name again? She has the bunches in her hair.
Oh, Cammy? Is it Cammy?
I don't know. I don't remember her,
Or
but
is
I feel like
Cammy
I kick people in the face when they
I'm pretty.
do
Chun-Li.
Yeah, Chun-Li.
With the legs, of course, Chun-Li.
I kick people in the face when they do disinformation. You kind of look like a Street Fighter character too in the tiger kimono today.
I look like I look like a beach bum. I look like I should be.
You do look like a beach bum.
On the beach somewhere.
You do. Which
is a good vibe.
You look like you make minimum wage.
I not far off. I mean, I live like, you know, I want to definitely have the vibe in the summer of just like a cool beach bum that you'd want to hang out with. Not one you're like, oh my god, he's too turned. You don't want to hang out with that guy. He's a problem. Or like the guy that's so brown and leathery, like he's been in the sun like way too long. You want to be like kind of mildly buzzed, have a good amount of like stuff on you to keep partying, and then also like have just a generally happy vibe.
I want to look cute, but I want to look like I'm ready for a fight at the same time.
That's you all over all the time.
that's the vibe I want to bring to the function.
Just like a fluffy cat that is there with her claws, just like cleaning her claws.
Just ready. I might fight you.
Just like cleaning her claws, just looking at you like, this could be you. I could be just mincing your face in my claws right now, but I'm not. So just count yourself lucky.
Precisely. But you should be, everyone should be focusing on, you know, creating a good vibe, not getting psyops.
Looks like everyone should be learning fucking taekwondo and like
preparing to fight Araman.
For a fucking tussle.
Yeah.
A tussle with, you know, either the police or with crazy fucking lunatics.
Well, yeah, everybody is sort of being transformed into a lunatic by the current zeitgeist. And all I can say is, like, try your best to stay sane and to not get involved in the insanity of everything and to not have your emotions be so easily manipulated by everything going on around you. Try to use your critical thinking. Try to not be on social media so much.
It's just like your mantra to yourself.
Yeah. It's different. I have to keep in touch with the zeitgeist. So I get to be like marginally online. Marginally online. But everyone else, eat your vegetables. Don't
go
drink
pick
water.
some berries.
Go pick some berries. We did that. That was fun.
Picking berries is such a great day.
It's a cheap day. It doesn't cost a whole lot. And you get to make a beautiful pie afterwards. So yeah. Don't riot. Don't go on social media. Don't get psyoped. Pick berries. Just pick fucking berries. But yeah, it's been an insane week, and there's even more insane news that's happened today that we didn't cover, like Ukraine encouraging into Russia.
Oh dear. What's Zelensky playing at?
That shit's happened too. So hopefully by next week we won't be talking about World War III with you guys. I really hope that that's not the case.
Won't Russia just be sort of go, bah, bah.
Get
away.
I don't want to think about. I don't want to think about what's gonna. I just don't want to.
Ukrainians. Bah, bah.
I don't want to think about that. Wait, hang on. What did George say in the chat?
He just said, "I'd love to be part of our cult."
He says, or maybe I'd want to become a real life Solid Snake and stop the techno goblins from building an AI world government system. I haven't played Metal Gear Solid. I don't know what the plot is about. Is it about tech?
To be honest, it's been so long since I've played any of those games that I don't even remember the plot. I don't even remember really the plot of the last game I played of it. It was more just like, you're this cool agent dude, go around, shoot you, blam blam. Look, you can make him smoke. And there's like all these other little meme kind of like Kojima jokes in there.
Amazing.
Throughout, and you're just sort of like, oh, this is kind of fun and it's lighthearted and it's a good game, so I'll keep playing it.
J. George says it's every man for himself and God against all, to quote Werner Herzog. Yeah, it is. It's the war of all against all happening right under our nose. It's quite frightening, and it's going to get worse. This war of all against all is, especially as the bifurcation becomes more and more pronounced. The way that people talk about, like, people are okay with other people's civil rights being violated. They're okay with people who are innocent being attacked, like in the case with the hotel. It's now gotten to a part where cruelty is the point, and people are okay with other people's human rights and right to safety being violated. That's the point we're at right now, and that's like really sad.
They also made a table tennis robot. this week.
Did they?
Google did. Yeah. They made a table tennis robot.
Wow.
So they're making advances.
They're making leaps and bounds. With the
robots, because
leaps
that's like, I think that robots was like a very cool thing when I was in primary school.
I remember that show Robot Wars I used to watch, where like kids would build robots with their dads and then watch them fight.
They still have that. It's on the internet though, but and it doesn't have Craig Charles, so it's sort of a little bit like you know. But
there was something distinctly cyberpunk about that.
But now the robots thing has like come back in to like the funding, VC pools and all these ideas because they've got this promise of nearly human capable machine intelligence, and that immediately would
attract investors and all sorts of things.
And they've tried it with like a few different things so far, which some have a pretty hit and miss rate on, to be totally honest. Like they had like those robot pizza restaurants.
Oh yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
Where the idea was that I think there was literally just the manager that was there in case something didn't work or to answer inquiries or whatever it might be, basically, to order the stock or what that might even be. Or like, I literally don't even fucking know, just in case, basically.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, from where someone sat down to when they ordered, everything was handled by machines. And they did it with hamburgers and a couple of other things.
But even then, there's so much hype being made because, I mean, some of it is true. There are leaps and bounds happening, but a lot of it is hype because it attracts investors. It gets hype around your, company, startup, whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Well, it's also just it is the thing at the moment that everybody is so interested in. And I think everybody isn't just like asking... oh, this is cool, I'll be able to make YouTube videos cheaper, or I can like do this or that or whatever it might be, or it might like, on the really crazy end of the scale, it might like really do a crazy amount of like damage to the film industry and the games industry and the music industry and like all of these kinds of things. But it's actually kind of what they're really interested in is just replacing as many of us as possible as workers. So they don't have to pay you anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
You'll be like, existing on whatever they deem your value as a human being will be.
Yeah.
And not whatever you could like potentially do. Because a lot of like, a lot of the world will kind of become really two-tier in this kind of way.
Yeah.
And it's actually like a really weird,
and
crazy...
frightening, incredibly frightening thing to think about. And not just that, that's the reason why I think I was talking about like Edward Snowden's bringing up of the cyberpunk revolution in terms of open source stuff. Part of the reason why they don't want this stuff open source is because they want to hem us in. And I mean, that's happened even with physical technology. The reason we brought up Robot Wars is because back in that period, people assumed that in the future, everybody would be sort of a technical genius and everybody would be able to kind of customize technology in a way that suited their needs. And there are certain things that were built specifically for that purpose. But obviously that model hasn't continued. Most of us are really alienated from everything that goes into...
There's also, I think, the people were conditioned since when credit became a thing.
Yeah.
That if you made a big purchase of something like your television or a washing machine or whatever, that thing can be repaired. And it would last fucking ages.
Yeah.
And over the time, like, that kind of planned obsolescence has become more and more obvious.
Yeah, but the more we've stepped away from that model, the more we've kind of given over that sort of autonomy to convenience.
It's convenience. It's nothing to do with anything else. There's a guy.
It's the same reason that open source AI people aren't fighting for it.
There's a really nerdy guy I follow called Louis Rossman who talks about this exact issue, which is like your right to repair the stuff that you've owned and bought, basically. Whereas like a lot of Apple products, if you have specific issues with them, there's stuff that only they can fix because they refuse to let out certain amounts of code or access to their motherboards and stuff like this. So even the Apple service provided like repair places that are not Apple stores can't do certain things. And there's also there's even like John Deere have recently done all sorts of fuckery like this with tractors.
Yeah.
There's like the way that even most sort of cars, because they are essentially a computer on wheels now, are sold with all of the features in the car, but you then by unlocking points of the computer to give you the heated seats and all of these
crazy
other things.
Shit.
It is like really crazy.
But that's the thing is people want to subscribe to life, and the more alienated we get from these processes, the more power it gives these corporations and tech companies, the more and more it contributes towards the process of acceleration. Perhaps bringing back the cyberpunk ethos is anti-accelerationist. Perhaps it, like Jay George says in the chat, perhaps bringing back that is a way of slowing down acceleration, of fighting against things like built-in obsolescence, like repairing old stuff, like repurposing things for your own needs, repurposing technology for your own needs and stuff. Like, I mean, you're even seeing it happening now with certain forms of open source AI, because there are open source things and there are people that are doing really interesting things with them to streamline their processes, to do very creative things, because they have access to that kind of basic open source, infrastructure to do what they need to do, and they have the hardware to run whatever they need to do on. So yeah, perhaps I feel like taking that ethos into physical technology could perhaps, be an FU to Ahriman in a way, and a way of, if people did that en masse, it would be a way of taking a lot of power out of the hands of these tech companies and corporations, and a lot of their power to harvest data, to surveil. But it would also mean giving up a lot of convenience, which we've become very accustomed to. And it's not as if we couldn't have the convenience. It just means we would have to have more say, and it would take more, intention in terms of how we deal with and use technology. And I think most people just want it to be this sort of mindless process. But the more you allow it to be that, the more power you give to the machine. So yeah, I'm all for cyberpunk revolution and reverse engineering technology to suit your own ends.
Well, what you've proposed there is basically like asking someone, oh, don't subscribe to Spotify, just like have a CD collection or a digital literal library of music that you manage and put on your phone and update it and whatever.
It will really strengthen your connection with music, because I used to do that as a teen, and my relationship with music was so much stronger.
I know, but do you do that now, or do you subscribe to Spotify?
I subscribe to Spotify.
Right, and so would you do that seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, then do it.
Okay. Who wants to declare Butlerian jihad with me and try it? I'll cancel my Spotify subscription for a month, and I will only download music and buy and make CDs and stuff.
Because if it's like because it's like if you like want to do that and take more control over that and use technology in your own life instead of letting technology use you. Yeah. It's completely possible to do that already. You can
start. There are ways that I am doing that currently, especially when it comes to like transcribing software, because I'm writing a book right now. So yeah, like there are ways that I do that, but like there are ways that I could do that more, like not relying too much on streaming for the things that I watch, not relying on Spotify for the stuff that I'm listening to, because I really was a lot more truly engaged with music and music culture in my teens and early 20s, because I was like collecting music, in a way that I don't anymore.
We do make our own music as well. Do it already. Music is life. There you go. PNP TCN in the chat.
What does Larry Walker say?
I tried to cancel Spotify in place of Napster when Neil Young pulled his stuff, but their library is just too expensive. Napster's library, I'm not sure like why Napster would be the first place you would go to, but fair enough.
He says, I used to be a total R album rat. I spent hours looking for rare albums and bootlegs online. Yeah, same. I used to do that sort of thing a lot more. But then as soon as I got Spotify, I stopped doing that, and I would just sort of, you know, which is really sad.
If you love music, you're probably, you know, into weird, like, unheard of shit online.
Yeah.
That's kind of like where it's at now. Whereas if you kind of just use music as like this thing that's in the background or whatever, then you've probably got the playlist on and you like listen to fucking Billie Eilish and all that crap. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Larry Walker says that Napster is just another streaming service now. Wow. I haven't heard that name in fucking.
They rebranded Rhapsody as Napster. Never heard of Rhapsody either. I mean, I guess I have heard of Napster, but I mean, that's kind of surprising.
Wow.
If they're just another streaming service, then what's the difference? Like, why? What's the point? Like, because they don't have Joe Rogan on Napster, so you could give your money to Napster, because they don't have Joe Rogan because he said a bad thing because he took horse medicine.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know, bro.
But not just that, get nerdy with it. I think I'm going to make that a goal for me next year, is getting nerdy with it. Not just getting nerdy with it in terms of finding ways of using open source AI tools, but also creating, I think curation and creating feeds is going to be the wave of the future too, because we're so oversaturated in advertisement and content, quote unquote, and shit, that I think being a curator of a space online is going to be valuable gold in coming years. So I think curation is also a way of getting out of the sort of weird harmonic system, and I'm gonna sort of look into doing that. I also want to look into maybe reverse engineering and using some older technologies as well. Yeah.
Well, I've already died on this hill before about the
I think that we should influence people. We should become anti-accelerationist influencers.
We should become mini disc influencers.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that's the wave of the future.
I hope first gen iPods aren't too expensive. Dude, I've got one that I need to basically go and get repaired on just the headphone jack is the only thing that needs repairing. But you see, once you start going down that route, man, you've also then got to have one of those terrible fucking cables that all those iPods used to have, the chunky fucking guys that like clicked in. Like, they were shit cables, and they're hard to buy now as well. So there's all these little things about going back to things like...
I'm sure you could find a way around that. Yeah. You could find some wizard guy
but
who
also
could,
just,
like, reinstall
just being an arsehole as well, okay? Like, the iPods actually didn't have a very good sound to them. Like, they weren't actually a very good digital to audio converter in them.
Oh, so here we go. He's going to start spouting his day job
go and
now.
get a mini disc player, bro, because they are just supreme in every way. And you're still managing your library in the same fucking way, just on lots of discs. So you feel like Neo a little bit more. You feel like you're a fucking proper cyber hacker a little bit more. Like,
I don't think I'm on the cyberpunk wave enough to go back to an old early 2000s phone just yet.
I looked into it before.
I don't think I could do that.
I looked into it when
just yet.
Was like transitioning my life at the start of the year, and fucking it's hard, man, because there are some things within the smartphone ecosystem in which I don't feel like is a bad influence and is negative, and I would want to keep, and that is things like GPS, just a very most basic thing.
Why not just get a Huawei phone and like hack it?
And turn all the stuff off.
Yeah, turn all the stuff off.
Because it's just
that's what I'm saying is get nerdy with it.
It's kind of like that, but it's also like once. I think it was what was it? I ended up basically needing to. I think I was out somewhere and we needed to order an Uber, and everyone else's phone was dead. I had battery, so I had to download Uber. But then for me to download Uber and for that to work, I had to enable location services and like all of these back-end things in my phone, which would have been completely untouched. Yeah. And so you end up in these, or it might have even been like I needed to get a train ticket or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so for the train ticket thing, you still then have to fucking go through all of your sign-ins and all of this stuff. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So like
even applying for jobs.
Yeah, everything. And that's exactly exactly what Edward Snowden's talking about. So, like, it's like everything, if you have a smartphone, basically encourages you to not to do that. because you do have this device which will then enable you all of these other fucking things in modernity, which do just fucking make it easier in some way. But it does, like, it is how much of a trade-off that stuff is for the payoff as well, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I've like weighed this up in my head a lot, and like having a smartphone, unfortunately, is kind of worth the trade-off for everything
You're saying
else.
having the mark of the beast and plugging in, it's just going to get more and more convenient, which is what I'm saying, to have the mark of the beast and to plug into the fucking system.
If I just
it's only going to get
to...
more and more convenient, and there are only going to be more and more reasons to rationalize acceleration. And it's like, where does it stop? And I think, I don't think there's anything wrong with technology. I'm not a Luddite. I just think that we should have more control over it in our lives. And that it shouldn't be these black box systems.
Well, that's exactly
and
what
it
he's
shouldn't
advocating
be these
for.
like fucking corporations controlling these incentive structures that we know nothing about.
It shouldn't be on their terms and services.
Yeah.
It should be on your terms and services. Yeah. It should be on what you agree to participate in.
Exactly.
And even like, you know, arguably that's how democracy should work as well. Like it shouldn't be this complete blanket, yeah, I agree to all of this stuff. Like I think there's like ways that you can make so much stuff more fractional and like digital and easy to access now. So if you were like really upset with something, you could like, oh, I'm not paying the portion of my taxes that goes towards this or whatever the fuck it is. which is legitimately what some people try to do. Like that was like when you used to pay your own taxes and it wasn't all completely digitized and just done like that. Like that is what people how people legitimately protested in the past and stuff.
It's crazy though, because I feel like, you know, like I said, I'm not anti-technology. I do want us to progress technologically, but again, like you said, it can't be on their terms and services only. And I think the only way that can be the case is if people take some of that power back into their own hands, which means now you can't afford to be ignorant about technology. And I'm somebody who hates having to learn new technical skills, and like I'm just like not about that life, but you really do have to stay ahead of the curve these days and learn stuff and be curious about it. I think part of what convenience has done has robbed us of our curiosity. You know, reason we brought up Robot Wars is because in that period, it was a time of major curiosity about technology. I remember being a child and being fascinated with that show and like watching the kids making the robots with their parents and the sort of internal components. And, you know, we were really encouraged in that sort of early 2000s period, like late 90s period, to want to know more about the kind of internal mechanisms of things and how they work. But now it's not that. It's how could I like subscribe?
Well, even the philosophy of Jensen Huang or whatever his name is, the guy that's the CEO of NVIDIA that's making all the infrastructure for the AI chips and all this stuff. That's his vision, is that you shouldn't be training people on how to code.
Yeah,
because
that's what he said.
The machine will do that for you now. And that's like such a monkey task that you don't really want to concern yourself with which is actually, when you're breaking it down to the raw philosophy of it, I actually agree with him in that way. Like you've now got this technology to where you should be engaging your brain with problem solving and thinking about ways in which you would make software or whatever it would be to solve problems you see in the world and your life, and not have to build up this level of skill to do certain things.
But they don't want people thinking that way. They don't want people thinking that way about technology at all. They want people thinking like subscribers. And that's what we've become. We've become subscribers.
Well, that's another point that he makes in the speech, Edward Snowden, is that about his props to Mark Zuckerberg. Even if the way he analyzed what he has done with open AI,
He makes the distinction he doesn't trust Mark Zuckerberg and that he's not doing it out of an altruistic impulse.
Out of a defensive move to essentially ensure that there isn't only one option that everybody kind of would think is good and trusts and has to subscribe to, have access to.
Yeah, Zuckerberg has made a bunch of stuff open source for the purpose of undermining competition, basically.
Yeah.
Not for any altruistic purpose. And even though it's a good thing that certain things are being made open source, it's not being done for altruistic purposes, because it's being done because these crazy motherfuckers are trying to build a monopoly and they're trying to hem us into their weird feudal chicken pen. And like, yeah, it's frightening. It's scary.
Techno chicken pen.
The techno chicken pen. And you have to willingly take yourself outside of the techno chicken. That's really hard to say. The techno chicken pen, by perhaps sacrificing some convenience. I have to interrogate my relationship with Spotify now because I've been called out on it.
Well, I don't know. It is like, question your relationship with all of the technology that you use and rely on, and what is it like really serving you for and stuff. And I kind of like got in it, like I did this at the beginning of the year, as I was saying, with not just even my phone, but even like, what are the priorities in my own life, and what do I need technology for, and what is it worth? What is that priority worth to me? Because I was at a point where I had to completely replace my computer and do all of this stuff. And originally, you know, I got my computer so I could still play video games and do all this kind of stuff. But now making music is more important to me in my life and more of a hobby of mine than playing video games is. So how much should I really invest in hardware to make that happen? You have to like think about your relationship with technology.
The technology you have,
and the way that you Jake, what's your audio expert opinion on vinyl? It's a thoroughly wonderful, pleasurable, excellent way to enjoy music and to listen to an album and to and to vibe out. It's fantastic.
It's good for chilling.
If you mean, is it like the whole digital music fucking analog signal shit, like, don't even bother with that stuff, man. It's that none of that matters. It is literally all around the way that music is gonna touch you, and that's gonna be more affected by like more Timothy Leary kind of philosophy of like set and setting and shit like that.
Yeah.
Where are you at in your life? Where are you at on that specific day where you heard that song for the first time? And what did it mean to you when you heard that? Like, it's going to be more revolved around that than it is ever going to be, did you hear it on this secret version of this exclusive vinyl, or did you hear it off of Spotify? Like, none of those things are going to make it. And also, just to, like, you know, advocate for the whole digital audio thing a little bit, right? Like, there has been, like, it doesn't just come out of fucking nowhere. Like, it has got provable science behind it that if you were to blind A/B, like a certain level quality MP3 file with literally anything else, you would not be able to distinguish it. If you were like bet a large amount of your life savings on if this is an MP3 or a WAV file, dude, no one's gonna take it. Like, no one's taking that bet.
Stop spurging about audio now. We're done. Do you want to show our new records to?
No, it's too much stuff and I can't move because of the setup.
You can.
I literally can't.
You can. Stop being a Scrooge McDuck. Go get the records to end out the show. It's a good way to end out the show.
No, I can't. Without tearing down the whole fucking set.
Oh, without tearing. Oh, well, we got a whole bunch of new records. Do you want to name some of them?
It's just like, I realized it was basically all of the stuff that is on like a major label is stuff that I connected to in my adolescence and was really important to my musical journey. But since I've sort of like left the Shires and come to London, there is like zero major label music that I really engage with, and it's all like indie label stuff, even down to like Bandcamp kind of shit, so, and YouTube stuff. So that was kind of a big wake up call. But I got like Corn Freak on a Leash, fucking Johnny Cash, Live at Folsom Prison, fucking Lamb of God, Ashes of the Wake, a whole bunch of great fucking metal records and stuff. I'll drop the records in the Discord, yeah, so if you're interested, you can see.
Yeah, drop the records in the Discord. We'll take a picture. We'll lay them out and take a picture of them. But yeah, indulging in that kind of stuff, really and truly, not like in a hipster, dumb way where you buy a bunch of stuff and never actually engage with it, is an antidote to the malaise of now. And I also think an antidote to acceleration. I think because like there's all this lifestyle influencing happening, and fucking it's all for bullshit stuff that's not real, like being a trad wife or whatever the fuck. And I think that if any lifestyle influencing should be happening, it should be stuff like this.
We did make our crumble from scratch.
We actually did make our crumble from scratch, and we picked the berries. I did a Nara Smith. I deserve credit. But yeah, we should do. This is the kind of lifestyle influencing that I think makes a difference. I think.
Well, yeah,
and we should do more of it.
Like the whole, because that's sort of been a whole thing on TikTok with sort of book talk and all of these ways of sort of making how you consume or whatever you do like a thing to brag about or sort of post about or something, which I find fucking bizarre. It's all about what you're fucking connected with. Yeah. And what drives you. Exactly. And stuff like that. And if, music is something that's really important to you, then I don't feel like you would be just, on the fucking Spotify playlists, man. You would be digging deeper and like finding amazing music. And there is so much amazing music being made every single fucking day.
Very true.
But, give
Take
some of that shit a
Ahriman's
listen.
technology and reverse engineer it to suit your needs. That's the moral of today's episode. But alas, we must bid you adieu because it's fucking boiling hot. And I need ice cream or I'm going to have a mental breakdown.
That's a good shout.
We're actually going to be playing a show on Thursday in London. So if any of you are in London and you want deets,
put it on Twitter.
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter in the DMs or I will post it in the Discord. But yeah, we got offered a show to play. So we're going to be playing our first show in London this Thursday. So if you're in the city, feel free to come check us out. Jake's going to be on the decks. I'm going to be singing.
On the push.
Sorry.
There's no decks involved.
All right. Sorry. Jesus. He's a live electronic musician. He's not a DJ. He corrected me on that today.
Yeah. What's the big difference?
Oh my God. Here we go.
Is it not?
I guess so.
Is what I'm doing just DJing with buttons instead of faders?
All right. I don't want to argue.
I was trying to make it a bit different.
I don't want to argue about it. But anyway, we're playing a show. We'll probably film some of it and share it for those who aren't there, so you can see a little bit of us playing our first gig together. Actually, it's not our first gig. It's our first gig together in like 8 years. In
a long time.
In a long time.
In this new format as well.
Yeah.
But it'll be good fun. It'll be
hopefully
really good.
We don't fuck it up. And yeah, please like. There's quite a few of you. So like the thing. It helps us. If you want to help us spread the word of Mystic in the Machine, you have to like. You actually have to leave likes because that tells the algorithm that you like us and it shows us to more people. So please do. If you can't support us financially, leaving a like is the best way to do that, or leaving a comment. I read them all, but I'm not always logged into the Mystic in the Machine account, which is why I don't always like them. So do leave comments if you're watching this after the live stream. We do read them all. We love them all. The smart ones, not the dumb ones.
You should like and comment from your other page.
I know, I need to. I have like 10 accounts that I'm running and it's like a fucking pain in the ass. But yeah, any other announcements? If you haven't subscribed to Depth Diaries, my new YouTube channel, there's a link to my new YouTube video as well, which is about Neon Genesis Evangelion and accelerationism. And the link is in our previous live stream. It's in the description there. And yeah, we'll leave the Edward Snowden speech in the description for y'all so that you can check that out. And if you want access to our perks and to hang out with us, you can do so by joining us on Patreon as well. Have a good evening, y'all.
Nice.
See ya.
Bye.